danger of something. Hey, my name is Will Buchanan, and I'm walking all the way across the country to New Hampshire in search of more freedom on a project called the Walk for Liberty. Today is October 20th, 2008, day 167. Although I didn't see a sign for it, I believe I've crossed into the Eastern time zone now that I'm walking into South Bend, Indiana. Indiana used to have its own special time zone rules. But I believe within the last couple years, it switched officially to the Eastern time zone, even though that was effectively the time zone it was on before. However, northwestern Indiana, closer to Chicago, is still on Central Time, since that's what Chicago is on. So anyway, I've crossed my last time zone border on the Walk for Liberty. That's an interesting sale notice. I'm being interviewed today for ABC News.
Okay, I'm gonna focus.
That was Ryan from ABC 57 News here in South Bend. He had the most portable camera setup by far of the half dozen or so TV news interviews I've done. And it was also unique in that he was just walking right along with me as he interviewed me. I shared with him the story of my encounter with the cops from a few days ago, and he said he's had similar incidents. He said he's pretty used to it now as a journalist and usually gets up in their face with them. He said that they really had no right to do that, considering that I was on a public sidewalk, and especially since I'm effectively part of the media with publishing on YouTube. I was walking by a school today as it was letting out, and virtually all the kids had a card attached to a lanyard around their neck, similar to something like this. I'd be willing to bet that it's some kind of ID card which they're required to wear in school. What's the reason to have those tags so prominently displayed, identifying each child? Is it just so people can see who the real students are? Or perhaps for if somebody forgets their name? Or is there an RFID chip embedded in them so that the busybody principal can monitor them as they move from room to room? When I was in high school, we had a token ID card, although I don't think I had to use it even once. And we certainly didn't have to wear them around our necks like some kind of tracking collar. In fact, my ID, which really just consisted of something handwritten onto a piece of cardstock, actually got ruined when I accidentally left it in my pants when they got washed. But nobody at the school even knew about it, since, as I said, I never had to present it. But what's troubling to me about those IDs is that those kids are being conditioned that it's normal to have wearable, potentially trackable, government IDs. Now, since I didn't see which school it was, I am making an assumption that it's a government school and not a private school. If it is a private school, then even though I might not like the idea, those parents certainly have the right to pay to send their children to a school which uses wearable ID. But let's assume for this discussion that it is a government school. Since I'm almost certain that there are government schools which use those type of IDs. Almost an entire generation of children will grow up thinking that it's perfectly natural to have your every movement monitored and tracked by the government. Virtually all of those kids that I saw were, after all, still displaying their tags prominently out in public. They didn't rip them off the moment they stepped out of the school door like they hated them. They were just wearing them around like they were really no big deal. That's why I personally think one of the most important liberty issues is getting the education of children out of the iron grip of the government. In other words, to separate school and state, as a way of preventing that Orwellian nightmare of the government tracking our every move from ever happening. I walked 20.3 miles for liberty today, and here is my current position. If you appreciate what we're doing on the Walk for Liberty, please consider visiting donate.walkforliberty.com. This is Will Buchanan, signing off. How is it that raising sales taxes will do anything good?